PSV 1, Arsenal 1 in the final group stage game for Arsenal during the group stages of the Champions League. They topped the group. That was already inevitable. A chance for Arsenal fans to get a look at some fringe players. I know a lot of Arsenal fans were hoping maybe for some of the youth players to get an opportunity. But an interesting night, really. I look, as a neutral trying to watch this game, it was hard. It's a dead rubber anyway. Plus, that ain't my team. But where'd you go? Eddie Nketiah scoring a very, very good goal. I think some of the fringe players have probably left a lot to be desired from an Arsenal fan point of view. There is that feeling that if too many of these fringe have to play games this year, they could potentially go backwards. PSV, look, at the same time, a hard team to beat at home. If you actually look at the only team that's beaten them all season in any competition is Arsenal 4-0 at the Emirates. Their record at home this season is absolutely top class indeed. So this is a decent footballing team who will probably find themselves feel a little bit unlucky that they weren't able to convert more of those counter-attack chances. But having said all of that, right at the death, right at the end, Trossard could have won it. But what would it have really meant? I don't know. There's a notion that it stops the rot after losing a game and it gets Arsenal back onto winning ways. At the same time, again, all Arsenal fans are different. I saw Piers Morgan today saying we don't want any of our first-team players out there. We want them rested. Lee Gunner on the show earlier on said he wants to see them play. Otherwise, it'll mean there could be no excuses if we don't beat Liverpool at the weekend because players are rested. I don't know how bad Arsenal fans are going to feel about it. For me, I thought it was a very average game. I thought most of the fringe players did very little to try and convince Mikel Arteta that they should start forthcoming games as an example. As already mentioned, Nketiah's goal was very good. I thought he had a decent game tonight. The touch, so letting the ball run across him. I thought that Reiss Nelson played well for Arsenal. But again, you watch him tonight, and I was watching Bakayoko for PSV and just thought to myself, if we're going to have a player on the bench, Reiss Nelson or him, I'm picking that kid. He looked absolute dynamite. So we all know that Arsenal's squad needs to be strengthened more and more moving forward. Some of these fringe players, they'll nearly get in a game looking like he's done his hamstring. They've got to be moved on. New players have got to come in, no doubt. But Arsenal fans, let us know what you think. Let us know what you feel. Cello here says, Reiss Nelson impressed. Yeah, I thought it was all right. He was very good in the goal. I thought it was okay. Some good touches, good driving the ball. But is he someone that's really going to push your first teamers? I don't know. Terry, stop it with Eddie. I thought Eddie was all right tonight. I thought he held the line well, scored a brilliant goal. It wasn't as though you guys were creating lots of gilt-edged chances for him. I thought he was good. I thought he was good tonight. Now, look, if you've got a difference of opinion, share that with us. G here says, shit as a game. It's a dead rubber, though. What were you expecting? What were you expecting from a dead rubber? Friendlies have more riding on them than tonight's game, if I'm being absolutely honest with you. But that's just me. Would I swap Eddie Nketiah for Martial? No, I wouldn't. Again, me saying someone was good tonight and scored a good goal is not an advertisement for me saying I'd have them at my club. Let's get out of this basic thinking. Like, I'm going to bring my panel out now to have their say. This is that Bakayoko kid looks special. No, he looked talented, He looked talented. I was annoyed from a neutral point of view. I was very annoyed when he came off because I felt they lost a little bit of their impetus in relation to that. The other guy impressed me as well. It's Ricardo Pepi. He looked good. I liked him. No wonder they've got such a good beaten record this year. Don Vito here says, why is the title not Arsenal bottled it? They haven't bottled anything. They'd already won their group. Nice try, baby. Your titles are basic thinking. Oh, sorry, Dave Kitts. I'm sorry, my titles are basic. Oh, it's a good insult. It's not a bad insult. I'm going to put this out there to you. I want to see who can come up with the best insult about me that isn't personal. So it doesn't attack my children or a family member or an immutable fact about myself. Whoever comes up with the best insult tonight, I'm going to find a little prize for him. The best insult, and it's got to make me laugh. It's got to be good. If it's bad, you'll get banned from the channel. So if you can't think of a good one, keep it buttoned. Let us know in the comment sections right now. Egal's here with us. Nathan's here. Sulz is here. Matt's here as well. Welcome back to the show, gents. I know normally I do a bit more of a monologue, but my club's got a really big game kicking off in 13 minutes time, and I want to go and watch it. Egal, what did you make of tonight? We know it was a dead rubber, but did you expect maybe a little bit more from
100%? I wanted to see the kids get into the game. I wanted to see Ethan get a chance. I wanted to see the young left back get a chance. I wanted to see Roel Walters get an opportunity. But Mikel Arteta had different plans. He put in Emil Smith-Rowe and Jesus at the end, didn't give the kids any opportunities. He even put Declan Rice at center back. It's just annoying because you want to go into these games, the last game of the Champions League, and give some of these guys an opportunity who haven't played. But yet we go out and we see Elneny, who I actually like, and Cedric, who I thought played okay. But I honestly wanted to see some of the youngsters get an opportunity, because why give these players who are no future at the club an opportunity to play this game when you could have given it to a youngster who could maybe take this experience and learn from it and push on in his career. This is an opportunity to show the people in the academy that there's something to work towards. But Mikel Arteta, I think he missed a trick there personally. And that's one of the things I take away from this. Another thing I take away from it, I don't know if you've seen Terry, big talking point, there might be an injury scare. Bukayo Saka was warming up during the game and he went straight down the tunnel for some reason. So I hope
Saka went for a poo. Yeah, genuinely, he went for a poo.
Okay, shit. I was worried. Thank God.
Hang on a minute, Matt. Were you there? Did you go in with him? What's going on? How do you know this?
Thank God it's a number 2 and not something else.
Man,
anyways, Terry, I guess that's the joke that made you laugh. I think Matt made you laugh, so there you go. Let's get back to the game though. What did anybody expect? Like, we can't sit here and be mad about the performance. We won the group. Bring on the round of 16. I'm happy. Top of the group. I know it's an easy group, but when you have an easy group, what do you have to do? You have to get the job done. We got the job done in 5 games. Now this 6th game didn't really mean much. And today really did feel like a Europa League game or a dead rubber. The fans, I kind of felt like nobody was really up for it. The players were kind of like, it is what it is. We scored the 2nd goal, and Gabriel magalhaes shamelessly was trying to claim it. I thought Kavior scored. I don't know why they ruled it off. Was it because Gabriel magalhaes was involved in the play?
He challenged he attempted to win the ball. Once you attempt to win the ball, that's it. It becomes you become offside.
So it is what it is. And Terry, overall, I thought Reiss Nelson is the main guy I'm going to look at and say, you know what, he came out of this game looking good. Hopefully he can get some opportunities. It was just his birthday. Eddie Nketiah, nice finish. But once again, I just don't think he's as confident in other games. Like today, he just took the ball and just striked it, no hesitation. I don't see him make those kind of moves and be as confident as striking the ball against certain opponents. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I feel like he overthinks it when it comes down to it. And nothing else really. I'm just gutted that Mikel Arteta didn't play the youngsters, man. He needs to give these guys an opportunity.
I hear that. Sulz, obviously, you had already qualified. You already won your group, so there was nothing gilt edge hanging on this game. Do you echo what Egal said? Did you want to see more of the academy players? Or a lot of Arsenal fans I've seen online have also said actually they wanted a stronger team tonight. They wanted to go and win a game because after the defeat against Aston Villa. Like, where do you stand on that, Sulz?
We're an elite team. If you deserve your opportunity, you get it. Otherwise, you don't play. Just because it's a dead rubber game doesn't mean we give youngsters an opportunity just because. It shouldn't be a gift to play. It should be you've earned your right to play for this club. In the Champions League, regardless of whether we've qualified or not, the reality is if Arteta goes this season, if Ben White was to get injured or if Saliba was to get injured, etc., it's who does he want to come in? If it's not Walters, then Walters doesn't play. If it's not Nawari coming in, then he doesn't play. If it's not other kids from the academy coming in for these injured players, they don't play. Because one of the biggest things that happened last season was Saliba got injured and we threw Rob Holding and Kiwior into the lineup without actually giving them any game time prior to that to actually warm up into the tougher parts of the fixtures. Now, that's how I think, because we're going for the league title, we're going for the Champions League, and we're going for the FA Cup. And I hope that's the mentality anyway. We're going for all 3. And for that, we need our squad ready to play. And if we're not giving them the opportunity here, then we're screwed. Because then what was the process? What is the squad? Because El Neni just got given a contract extension. Cedric got given a contract extension, and actually we've refused to loan him out. So if players like that aren't going to get an opportunity to play in these games, to warm their legs up, to get match ready and match fit, then there's no point. When else are we going to give it? We can't give it to them when we're 1-0 down to Aston Villa, when we need someone to come in and change the game. We can't get them into the business end of the season because they're not ready to play. So we need to get the rustiness off them and give them these kind of opportunities where they're meaningless and they have an opportunity to just go and play a game, just get match fit, because match fitness and training fitness are completely different things. Match intensity, you can't replicate that as hard as you try in training or even in friendlies. So even though that's a dead rubber, PSV wanted to win. They wanted to make a statement as well. You can see it with the intensity they played at. And now it's a bigger opportunity for them to impress. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think any of them impressed. And that includes some of the starters in there. Saliba and Gabriel had dead games as well. Ramsdale was all right. When it comes to one thing, right? And I've complained about it all season. I think we don't work on our finishing. I don't think attacking drills take place in training. Because again, this is now a second string team that still kept missing sitters, that still couldn't do anything attackingly. So we can blame the first team for not creating the chances, for not taking their chances. But this is a new set of players who still couldn't take their chances. So I don't know. This game was just disappointing for me. I know it's a dead rubber and there's not a lot to read into it, but I'm disappointed.
I hear you. Nathan, do you share that sentiment?
You know what? I actually disagree, because when I look at where we are as a squad right now and how many injuries we have, especially in defence, and the injuries mounting up, I feel like we have to manage games a bit differently, especially to those in European leagues, because they get the winter break off. They don't play over the Christmas period. And when you factor in the fact that obviously this game was a dead rubber, but it also had no implications on any of the other teams competing. So they weren't relying on us to win, for instance, to qualify, because both us and PSV were through. And when you look at Arsenal DNA, when there's not, we have a history of allowing youngsters to come through. And where is there going to be a better opportunity to allow them to play without that pressure of you must win, right?
That's exactly my point.
Right.
Yeah,
so for me,
you didn't need to win, so there's still no pressure.
No, but what I mean, I'm just saying to you, imagine today, for instance, Gabriel or Saliba got injured, and you see where we're at defensively already, with the likes of Timber out, with the likes of Tomiyasu out, right? We put ourselves in a really precarious position. So for me, it was like, look, even growing up, Arsene Wenger used to use the Carling cut back then as a opportunity to play youngsters. And as fans, we actually didn't mind that. We used to enjoy that was part of the history. Now, I'm not expecting that during Premier League games or during competitive games, but this is the one instance where you can actually allow them to go out and play and showcase who they are and just give them that, introduction to top level football, right? I'm happy with the players that did feature, like the likes of Reiss Nelsons, the Jorginhos, because obviously they need minutes and they need to contribute to the season. So in that regards, I agree with Sulz's point. But I also feel like we should allow, like in the last 2 minutes, he brings on Jesus and he brings on ESR. What does Jesus have to offer for 2 minutes in that game where it doesn't really matter? Why not give that to one of the kids? Right, it's a prideful moment, and that's what Arsenal's been. That's a big thing of Arsenal, and it's a similar thing with other clubs like United.
Has destroyed this club. That's why we've not been successful for the last 20 years, because we're too sentimental. Who gives a shit? You earn your right to play for the club. If they haven't, they don't play.
Because it is
sentimental.
But look, you hate Nketiah, for instance, right? Or you're not a fan of Nketiah, shall I say, right?
Yeah.
If Jesus now popped his hamstring in that game because he came on, we're all going to be sitting there saying, why did he play? Right, so these are the things where I'm like, the risk reward is not. It doesn't really add up for me.
Can you believe we played Saliba? Because I can't even believe Saliba was even in the squad, because like he is genuinely our most important player, probably joint with Declan Rice, and he started both him and Gabriel. I couldn't believe that. I could not believe that. The two centre backs that start for us, and he starts both of them in a game that is not really like any need, because we've already qualified, we're already top of the group.
And when you look at like the upcoming fixtures, traditionally the Christmas period is a gruesome schedule, right, where it tests the legs and people tend to pick up injuries. So if we have the opportunity to give the key players a rest, and I've seen even the likes of City do it previously when they'll make wholesale changes. Had we had a full squad available, for instance, and not the injuries, and I've got no problem with not playing the kids, because you can rotate, because you've got so many of those backup players. You can play the Fabio Vieiras and etc., right, who are available. But we didn't have those, so you might as well play the kids and save them to think. I think going back to the game in terms of players, I thought Trossard was extremely disappointing, and this is the second week in a row second game in a row, should I say, where he's been extremely disappointed. I thought he was woeful against Villa. When he came on, in my opinion, he actually ruined the flow of that game in terms of from an attacking perspective. And today he's offered nothing again, and it's really disappointing to see, because he's an experienced player and somebody who should be more of a leadership player in that regards because of his experience.
Can I add one thing, guys? We're top of this group. We get out of there's a lot of positives to take away from our Champions League so far. I'm not going to go too hard on these guys for this game. This game was not about the performance. It was about getting through it without any injuries. Luckily, we got through it without any injuries. We move on to the next game versus Brighton. And overall, we just have to ask ourselves, do we think these youngsters are going to get any opportunities in any of these tight games in the Premier League? I don't think so. This game was maybe an opportunity to give some of the guys who Mikel Arteta maybe thought could be useful in the case of an emergency. That's the only thought process in why he might have played Cedric instead of playing the youngster, or played El Neni instead of playing any of the youngsters, because I don't think he views them as emergency debutants or substitutions, where we might actually see Declan Rice at centre-back in the case of an injury, where Roy Walters, I don't think he's going to get any opportunities this season.
Yeah, but don't you think the likes of Trossard and Reiss Nelson, those who are who are backups, need to actually perform, right? I thought Nelson played well. I thought Nelson played good, actually, right?
Yeah.
He was the
man of the match for me.
But in terms of like Trossard, for instance, like he needs to be putting pressure on Martinelli. He needs to be putting performances. You know, when you're competing for a league, right, you need the backup to be knocking on the manager's door with performances, so everybody knows that, right, you don't perform, you're out of the squad, right? And that's how it should be. So the likes of the Jorginhos, the El Nenes, the more experienced pros, I'm expecting performances for them, right? And that's why I'm disappointed. That's why I highlighted Trossard for me, because it's twice I've seen. And yeah, it's overall, of course, we're happy with the group. We're top. This is what it should be. Last game should be a rest, but still disappointing in that regards.
Trossard and Odegaard as well, because Odegaard got subbed on, was genuinely so quiet, absolutely terrible, I thought. And he was terrible in the Aston Villa game as well. Didn't create anything. He couldn't score either. And it was the same in this game as well, which is, quite concerning, because he's our main creative player that plays those through balls and whatnot.
I hear you on here. Robert here says, I take this game as an L. We should have won the game 3-1 comfortably. Arsenal fringe players aren't good enough. Still Cedric, Nelson, Nketiah, Jorginho. It's interesting that you said you should have won 3-1. You had some chances. I mean, PSV did have so many gilt-edged chances on the counter-attack. I mean, they could have, at another day, they could have been 3 or 4-0 up before you scored. So I get where you're coming from. And I don't know whether it was a save from Ramsdale or it hit Gabriel's foot when they basically had an open goal and it looked like they were going to score. So there was a lot of chances.
Gabriel, what block?
It was a great block. The scoreline didn't represent the stacks or XG. Yeah, I hear you on that. But boys, look, I want to say a big thank you. I am going to go up and watch the Man United game because I can't keep my eyes off it. There's not much else to talk about. It's a dead rubber. But boys, thank you all for coming on. I appreciate it. Viewers, please hit like buttons. Please subscribe to the Football Terrace. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.